Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn, and today I do not have Laura Jackson with me because I'm so excited. I have Tyler Watson joining me. Hi, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing so great. Thanks for asking.
I'm so happy that you're here with me. You and I have had a lot of conversations about what you do, and I think what you do is actually very magical. So, Tyler, as I mentioned earlier in his bio, that he is the owner of Elite Performance Coaching, but your coaching is not like traditional coaching. Your
No.
coaching is a completely different world, and I feel like it is kind of like that. There's like a bit of magic thrown into it. So I really want to get into this. I want to hear all about what you do and how you help transform lives. But I need to know first, and my listeners need to know, how did you get started as a coach? What triggered you to get into this world? And what were you doing before this?
Yeah, so my journey as a coach started a little over 10 years ago, and I was in a place, it was really interesting because I was actually a massage therapist, and my dad's what's called a clinical kinesiologist, stepmom's a naturopath. So I grew up in a very holistic background, and I thought that was what I was going to pursue is take over the clinics and like become a doctor of natural medicine and just that was my path since I was like 2 years old. That's what I always thought about. Got a pre-med biology degree, did everything about health and transforming body. And so um, a series of events led up to, because it's interesting because it's like, okay, whatever started your journey, but it's like your whole life contributes to it, right?
True. Hmm.
So when I was 12, my parents separated. And that was an event that ignited a lot of non-ideal emotions inside of me, from depression to suicidal tendencies to pornography addictions, video game addictions, feeling just really horrible about life in general. But I did very good at masking it. So I pretended that I was okay and nobody even knew. And I got straight A's, MVP, class president, all these external things. But inside, I felt like something was drastically wrong.
Mm.
Yet it felt like normal because that's all I knew. And so, with those experiences, I watched my mom go through 5 divorces, my dad through 3. And I had a huge fear of getting into a relationship because I just felt like I'm going to screw this up.
Right.
If I am not on my game 100% all the time with my issues, I'm going to get a divorce. So I was terrified to date and I didn't want to hurt anyone. Yet I wanted to have a good relationship. And I wanted to make money because I was a massage therapist that would charge 15 bucks a session, drive to your house. Like I
That's
had some
wild. Can
I
I
had
hire
some
you? Can I hire
I
you
had
today?
some issues in my tissues to say the least. So I wanted more. Like I had this vision or more of a calling because I couldn't really see it, but I felt that there had to be something more for me.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know how. And so I started to read some books and listen to audios and everything free that I could on the anywhere I got, and ended up meeting my wife, who was a coach for youth. And she just taught youth and kind of on her own and would run retreats and stuff. And I was like, man, this girl's like crazy cool. Like she just gets paid to teach people and change their lives. And here I'm like slaving away, massaging and making less than 14 grand a year. Like just like it was not ideal. So through that evolution, I saw myself, I knew potential was there. I just didn't know how to unlock it.
Mm.
And I went through a lot of processes and techniques. Um, Up till about 5 years ago, I went through almost 500 different processes. Now I've done, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I've put in over $1 million in my personal development and growth to find the missing piece. And for me, what it was is that so many people teach around mindset. They teach this whole philosophy that it's like everything's about mindset. And they're like, yeah, 20% of the game is skills and 80% is mindset. So I did all the mindset work I could do, but it took forever. Like it felt like I would listen to the audios, I'd read, I'd do my affirmations, I'd like do everything, vision boards and all this stuff. But all my meditations, everything that I did, it just felt like so slow. And innately, I just had, based on my background growing up, I knew the body could change really quickly. Like
Right.
seeing health transformations left and right, I knew the body was made to change. So my question was why is it that with finances and relationships and even with some health things, it seems like the body doesn't change and it just stays the same and repeats patterns. So I got super obsessed with patterns and addictions and what are called allergies. And this was the game changer for me. Literally changed how I see everything in my world. And it started with a gluten allergy, actually. So, um, yeah, it was fascinating. My wife had a gluten allergy, and fast forward, so I'd gotten some momentum because those things do work. But here's an equation that I like to share. It's called the unstoppable equation. And what happens is a lot of people do this. They'll put in, so this is the speed at which you attain your goals or make changes. For some, they can do it, it seems instantaneously. For others, it takes 30, 40, 50 years and they still never change. So my
Right.
question was, what is there a formula for this? Like, can we actually duplicate transformation? And what I found is that most gurus taught the top of this piece, which is, hey, to become unstoppable, to get your goals as fast as you can, you've got to have skills, which is
Yeah.
true. These are true things. You need to get better at the thing. Like if it's health, you got to learn the health pieces. You got to learn how your body works. You got to get better at doing those things. You've got to, and the skills are amplified by what's called your work or the actions that you take. So obviously, we've got to put in work, we got to put in effort, and maintaining the focus. They go together. So focus and work build upon each other and amplify your skills, which then, if you do that, you'll succeed. That's what everybody says. They're like, just don't quit. You'll always succeed if you never stop.
Right.
But that took a long time. So I was like, man, what is up? Like, there's got to be a hidden thing here. And what I found was this is that underneath this equation is this. So if you have you ever felt like you should be further ahead in something, or
Of
like right when
course.
you set a goal, life happens. Like you were
Oh my
telling me about
gosh.
some of your daughter stuff and all this stuff. I see that and I'm like, oh, that's actually a pattern or a vibrational frequency in your body that creates those things, which is
Hmm.
kind of interesting. So I look at this and I say, what actually happens in life, if things are taking longer than they should and you feel like you should be further ahead, you're putting in 100 amount of energy and effort up here, but you're only getting like 5 or 10 out. So then you look back and you're like, holy, why is this taking me so long? It's because of this, what are called allergies and addictions. Allergies
Right.
and addictions. So our allergies and addictions, which I'll define those here in a minute, rob all of the things that we're actually doing in life, which are skills, work, and focus. And when we can eliminate these fight flight responses or allergies and addictions, instead of putting 100 amount of effort in and you only get 10 out, you can put 100 in and maybe get 80, 90, or 100 out. And then you know it's just you're in that state of flow where things work for you instead of against you, if that makes sense.
It's so
So,
interesting. It's so
yeah,
interesting.
that's the whole basis. And it started with a gluten allergy, a real gluten allergy, where my wife would eat gluten and she'd bloat up. And this was like for 8 years, this would happen. And in the middle of the night, as I was just studying and pondering all these different techniques, because I would do a process on her physically to help shift it, but it would come back. And
Right.
my thought was like, why isn't it sticking? Why is that not changing? And the answer hit me. And it wasn't anything that I was ready for because I was taught, well, you got to get to the root cause of the root cause and figure out the drama and the trauma and release it. You got to find the trapped emotion. You got to go back 17 generations and figure out past life regression, all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
things that work,
The
but take
layers.
a long time.
Yeah.
You got to energetically envision it and do all this stuff and affirm it and do all these things and pulse and lights and you name it, like everything. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, this I'm eating it. This is good. It works sometimes. but why not every time?
Right.
And the answer came was that the only reason that she or any human being would ever suffer with anything physically, financially, in a relationship is because it's not their brain, but some part of them at a cellular level, cellular memory, is actually addicted, holding on to, addicted to the non ideal pattern
Hmm.
or symptom. And to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So to every addiction, there's actually an allergic response. So to every push, there's a pull. And
Hmm.
this is when it clicked. I was like, oh my gosh. So that means some part of her body is actually holding on to the symptom that gluten is bad and allergic to the idea that gluten could be good for her. So then the goal is, can I get her into a state of alignment so that every single part of her body is 100% on board and the symptoms go away? So I compiled about 10 different techniques and I did it. And within an hour, hour and a half, the first thing she thought was like, hey, I want some toast. That day she ate pizza, no problems. And it's been almost 6 years now and still eating gluten. So
And no
I looked,
issues.
yeah, no issue at all. None.
It's amazing. See, magic. I told everybody at the beginning of this, it's like you have this magic that you know about that not a lot of people know or understand or can do. And it's so cool.
Yeah. And it looks like magic. It's like I love that word magic. Somebody once called me a mix between Houdini and Tony Robbins. I was like,
You're like, thank
but
you, thank you.
yeah, but what it really is like anything that we're ignorant on looks magical.
Of course.
So if we don't understand it, like before, if you study history, anytime there was a new concept, it was labeled as witchcraft or magic. And until it became a law, and then they're
Hmm.
like, oh, maybe gravity is a thing. Oh, maybe you can fly. Oh,
Hmm.
maybe the world is round. Oh, and all these things that seemed wacko became facts. So
Very true.
what it is that just because we don't understand it fully doesn't negate the fact that it's real.
Hmm. No, I love that. And it kind of reminds me of something that Brennan Burchard said um, at an event that we were at that was when he was talking about the impossible becoming possible. It's that
Mm.
same sort of
Yeah,
concept
so
of
good.
like you see things and you think, there's no way that this can happen. But then if you think about your life, every single thing in your life has been, well, not everything, but a lot of the things in concept would seem impossible, but they've become possible because of the lead up of events, right? So it's like everything in life is possible. There is possibility everywhere you turn. So you just have to open up to it.
Yeah.
That's the same sort of concept of this alignment. So when you say, okay, this is the one thing that I'm pretty sure I understand it, but when you say allergies, it's like
Hmm.
what you're saying is it's basically your body has a pattern or has this thing that you're attached to, which I always think of it like, your brain goes back to the things you're comfortable with, right? You kind of like it's hard for people. It's like the lottery winners that lose all of their money, right? Like they win the lottery,
Yeah.
then they lose all their money,
Yep.
and it's this whole thing. You would say that that's probably an extreme version of this exact formula that you're talking about, where it's like
Yeah.
they're not in
Absolutely.
alignment with being someone who has millions of dollars. So then they are doing the actions that create, it's almost like they're allergic to, so they're doing the actions then that their past person has done because that's what they're attached to. So then the
Yeah. So
outcome becomes not the desired outcome of like
exactly. So
maintaining. That is
yeah,
that correct? Am I understanding it? Yeah.
exactly. And
Cool.
you can be allergic to anything that's ideal. So
Hmm.
I look at anything if I'm coaching someone, I look at where they're at and a goal that they're working toward, but it's taking longer than it should. Whether
Right.
it's health, wealth, or relationships. So I had a lady who was had some health issues. She was trying to lose weight. She did all the right stuff. She was even a health coach, all these things, and she felt really shamed because she was like coaching on this. And she's
Yeah.
like, for some reason, like I can't lose this. I'm doing everything I should. All I hear is I have an addiction and an allergy, and I need aligned. So I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, it's cool. So after doing, she took a couple different approaches because sometimes they have a few different allergies that hold it in place. And after we did it, she shed like 30 pounds and kept it off and changed her taste buds to where she actually liked healthy foods. So
Amazing.
she didn't like it and she was liked only sweet things. But that's
Right.
just an addiction. Like your body, as much as it can be addicted to a drug, can be addicted to being overweight. It can be addicted to not being loved. It can be addicted to $1,000 a month. It could be addicted to spending more than you make. Your body creates these patterns based on past experiences that are familiar or similar to it so that
Mhm.
it can maintain a state of safety and normalcy.
Right.
And I, opposite of that, it's also, and sometimes it's not even in the same category. So you might think, oh, well, if I have a health issue, then I have an addiction and allergy towards that. No, because the body is a holistic thing. So you might have a money issue. For example, I had a guy, he had physical pain and he was fixing to get some back surgery. And I was
Right.
like, hey, this is an addiction and allergy thing. That's all it is. So he's like, dude, I've tried everything. And I hear that all the time. I'm like, that doesn't matter. That's just an addiction and allergy too. So um, he's got this back problem. We're at a Tony Robbins event and he flew in from the UK or something like far away. And he's like, I don't even think I can get on the airplane. So I did a session on him right there, like 30, 40 minutes. Back pain went from like a 10 excruciating down to like a 0. And the interesting thing, it was attached to finances. And
Mm.
so I addressed that. We worked through that. The next week, he literally had $65,000 come to him in 1 week after shifting back pain.
That's
So I was
crazy.
like, that's cool. And he was like, I don't know what happened, but that was like, I don't understand this, but cool, thanks. It's like, yeah, you're
Was he
welcome.
the one that called you the Houdini Tony Robbins? Because
Uh,
I feel like
there's a lot that so things happen like that all the time. Like one of my
right.
first people was Craig, and he had had a cardiac arrest, and his was so bad where for 5 years, if he would walk and look left or right, he'd fall over. So his whole equilibrium was messed up. He um, could only function about 4 hours a day. He had to wear sunglasses and earplugs everywhere. So his whole equilibrium, his whole
Just because
senses were
everything was
messed up.
so heightened.
Everything. His wife was a master energy healer practitioner for over 20 years. They tried everything. And they went to neurosurgeons and all the medical stuff, and they tried all the stuff that they knew. So this was when I first developed this process, and I was still testing it out, and I was like curious. I was like, I should, I want to put this to the test because theoretically, the only reason you have these symptoms is because what? Some part of you is actually addicted to them and
Yeah.
allergic to what you want at a cellular level. So I thought, well, let's align you and see what happens. And I'm never attached to the outcomes, so I'm just curious and I'm like, let's see. And so he comes and he's like, dude, I'm pretty skeptical. I've tried I was like, that's just an addiction too. Let's work through it. So we worked through all of the stuff. And after about back then it took me like 2 hours because I just developed it. Now it takes me anywhere 15 to 30 minutes to do these. But I did this process on him and he called back a few days later and he just burst into tears and he's like, Tyler, you're not going to believe this, but I am functioning over 8 hours a day. I go on walks with my wife. I can look left or right. I don't fall over. I'm not wearing earplugs or sunglasses. And he's like, dude, I feel like I got my life back.
That's
And
amazing.
I don't know if you ever get those calling moments, but I felt in that because I was still coaching how to be a coach and how to make money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just got this deep rooted feeling like this is what I have to teach the world. This is unique. This is different.
Mm.
And so from that moment, that was about 5 years ago, I pivoted and started to teach this and train people and certify them to learn this process and become breakthrough coaches and help them be able to transform lives within minutes or hours instead of taking years.
It's so cool. It's
Yeah.
honestly like when you first told me about this, I was just like, we have to tell everybody about this because it's kind of like this, this secret in a way, but it's not meant to be a secret, but it's something
No,
that's
oh my
like this
God.
process, but it's this process that not a lot of people have heard of, can't
No.
imagine that it could be true, would not believe it, and they are just not certain that it would work for them or a lot of people think it's like that woo woo stuff. I'm on board for all of this stuff. Like I think it's like
Yeah,
because I know that all as human beings, we are energy and everything is on a cellular level and
yeah,
everything is like every single thing, like your past trauma can predict your future or it cannot, depending on
yeah,
how you process it, right? And all of these things. And it's interesting to me because I did a speaking engagement and I talked about that, not from the cellular level, but I talked about the idea of your past does not have to represent your future.
mm,
Your
so
past can
good.
just be your past and it doesn't have to be who you become and who you are. But it's that work in between. But it usually takes, like when I did my work, it took me 7 years. Where
Yeah,
now I'm like,
right.
if I would have talked to you, it would take me like an hour.
I didn't know it
I'm
back
like,
then, but
dang,
like
Tyler,
I
where were
went through that
you?
route too. We go through the slow way, and I feel like these things were all great, and it led me to know and get ready for it. Because
Yeah, of
back
course.
years ago, I don't think we were ready. It's kind of like AI. If we would have had AI even 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been ready. But
Totally.
having it now, it's like, oh, people are more ready for speed. And I
Mhm.
think as we become ready, the teacher comes, the lessons come, the how we systemize it, the inspiration, and now we're able to actually embrace things that are more effective.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. And so when you talk about like alignment, what
Yeah,
are some of the things that you do in order to help people align? Because I think that that's a really important thing for people to
yeah,
understand because it's, like you said, there's all the layers of like the affirmations, the meditations, the
yeah.
mindfulness, the all the things that come into play usually as a recommendation. What is different about the process that you try to walk people through?
So mine is all about allergies and addictions
Yes.
and pinpointing fight flight responses in your body.
Mm.
So it's not about positive and negative. So if people think, hey, for example, in one of the in my book, I talk a little bit about this, but when somebody's creating something, a lot of times they'll be like, hey, write your goal out and positive affirm it, like think positive thoughts. But if you say a positive word, let's say it's like one of the events I used to do back years ago and attend, it was like, I'm a money magnet. And it's like, I money, money, money. You bring it to you, right? So it's this idea of having money be your friend and receive it and getting into that state.
Yeah.
And they have some of it down where you need it to get it into your physiology. But even in your physiology, if you have fight flight responses still going on, it's not going to work. So you could, with repetition and passion, drill it through the subconscious. But if your cellular conscious is still off, you're still going to fight yourself. So this is the big difference is we go beyond the subconscious, which is mostly mental, and into what's called cellular consciousness. Cellular consciousness is your physiology. It's every single part of who you are. And that creates our identity. Now, if I am going to say, hey, I make 10,000 in a month or 100,000 a month, whatever is your next goal, and I look at it and I vocalize it and I'm like, I make $10,000 in a month, right? I'm just doing positive affirmations.
Right.
My body could actually have an allergic response to that idea and what it represents. So every time I speak a positive phrase, I'm causing a non ideal reaction, which then counterproducts the thing, which is why you have to do so much repetition and passion because the idea is do it so much until that overrides. But what if you had a way to just change the reaction so you don't have to do the repetition and passion? And that's what I found is you can literally tune in, pinpoint where those reactions are, turn them off within seconds, and then it can now be a choice instead of a reaction.
So fascinating. And do you feel like, I mean, when you're doing an alignment and you're changing someone's physiology, do you believe in still maintaining? Because, like, how do you get people to not revert back, or is it literally just eliminated that quickly? Or do you
Um,
believe in, sorry, I don't
90% of
think
the
my question
stuff,
was great.
yeah, this is kind of a interesting thing. 90% of the thing, now it's because I've done this for so long,
Correct.
but 90 to 95% of the alignments I do is a one-time thing. That's it.
That's so
There are
amazing.
those outliers that it takes a couple approaches. And especially when people are getting certified, it takes them several times because you got to get the nuances down. Like there's an art to this.
Hmm.
There's 35 different ways to align. We have the full version. We have versions that can take 5 minutes. We have versions that can take, like, depending on food, like each symptom can have a little bit of a different nuance to it. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and they're very similar processes. They're processes that people have been through, but they didn't incorporate the aligning part, which the aligning is stimulating the trigger, tapping on that triggered location to keep it from being communicated subconsciously, and then going through the actual process, which is a breath process mixed with tapping on certain points. So
Right.
it looks similar to things that you're familiar with, but how it's put together is completely different. And it addresses the allergy and addiction instead of just, rooted causes or things like that.
Hmm.
And because of how it's put together, it if you are very thorough, especially if you do the full version, it's a one-time thing. I do also incorporate what's called anchoring if it's something that's longer term, like if it's a big goal that you're working toward, or if it's something that you're in a toxic environment and you haven't shifted yourself yet, so that you can refresh it back, kind of like an autopilot on a car. So you can do
Right.
that to your body as well. And after you're in that peak state going through the transformation, you can lock it in with an anchor and refresh that within a 2 or 3 second process.
So interesting. I don't know. I know I love this. I mean, the last time that you and I spoke, we actually went through the process in like a mini version of it.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about something specific that was bothering me. And then we went through this process. And I got to tell everybody listening, like, it completely changed energetically how I felt about it. And it changed. And those repetitive thoughts and everything. And even though it was like, we just did like a quick, like, demo kind of thing, it completely eliminated those reoccurring thoughts. Because I don't know if anyone's listening, but I'm sure everyone here has ever like got caught in those loop cycles of like thoughts and things like that. And that's what I was dealing with. And it's just like it's fascinating to me. I think it's
Yeah.
fascinating that,
Oh,
but I can
it's super fast.
understand it. I can understand how it could work.
Yeah.
I understand it because I understand how every single piece of us is connected. Like we are all whole in those parts. And like if we don't align it and if we don't change it from every part, like the cellular part, like you said, then it's just like putting a band-aid on. It's like
Yeah.
masking it consistently and it'll just keep coming up over and over again, right? In a different maybe or in a different pattern, but it'll always be there.
Yeah. It's crazy. I believe as we continue to grow over the next couple of years, this is going to be in this philosophy, and you can already see it being embraced fast because it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And when something is more effective, people embrace it. Like if it didn't work, people wouldn't use it, right? But it's cool because it's like before, you had electric cars, people thought that that was going to be the dumbest thing ever, and we resist change so much, because we're so
True.
familiar with stuff and it feels normal and safe. And the moment something challenges that, we fight it to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
So we just have to be open-minded and willing to look and learn and progress and test it out. And if you test
Mhm.
it, you'll see the results, and it's super cool.
It is super cool. Question for you, and I'm totally putting you on the
Yeah.
spot right now. Would you be interested in doing another episode where, and I don't know if this would work with this process, but where some people could actually submit
Oh, heck
something that
yeah.
they're dealing with, and then we could actually like
Yes, that'd
have
be
you kind of
epic.
talk through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's funny you said
That'd be
that. I
so
literally
cool.
just opened up my YouTube channel
Uh-huh.
where I'm doing that thing just for my YouTube channel
Oh
where
my gosh, that's
I'm
amazing.
literally
Okay,
like
what
bringing
that's
people
so cool.
on, they apply, and then I pick them, and then I work on them, and it's called breakthrough in 10 minutes or less. And I get
Yeah.
them to shift within 10 minutes or less. And that just happened the beginning of this year. Like I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like people need this. So we
Oh
could
my
do it for
gosh.
you. And then yeah, I have even more that we're gonna be launching over the next couple weeks.
Oh my God. Okay, let's do it. Let's plan that. So for everybody listening, email info@fitchix.ca and let us know something that you need help with a breakthrough. And
Could
then
be
we'll book.
literally anything. Like we've seen people. Financial breakthroughs. I've had people stuck at 30K get to 60K within 2 weeks. I've had people not ever hit their first 10K, hit it in 30 days. Disclaimer, we can't promise anything, but if you understand the power of aligning and frequencies, like you just test it, see how it works.
Yeah.
We've done stuff
What do
on
you have to lose?
relationships, people on the verge of divorce, getting back together again. We've seen crazy health stuff, glycomas in their eyes disappearing, like all sorts of stuff.
So cool. Okay, so yeah, so email info@fitchix.ca. Tyler has graciously, because I put him on the spot, offered to do another episode where he can walk through some of these things. So the people don't have
Yeah.
to be present, they just have to share, and then you can share the process, or do you
It
want
would
them
be
present
better to
on?
walk through with them live. Like if we picked one
Okay,
and then they
cool.
could hop on live, then I could do it a lot faster. Without it, it
Amazing.
would take a little longer.
Okay, so we'll
We could
have them
still do
live.
it,
So if
but
someone
live would be
wants
better.
submit, and then we'll do like a random draw. I'm not going to choose it based on anything else
That'd
other than randomness. And we'll
be
get someone
awesome.
on and we'll book up Tyler and we'll
Cool.
figure it out. We'll align it all so it makes sense. Tyler, that's so
Cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, I know that you have also been so generous and you've offered for all of our listeners your book for free. Talk
Yeah,
about
so you
this.
could go to
Um,
Amazon and buy it. It's called The Alignment Effect.
yeah,
And I'm going to hook you guys up. And it looks like this here. And so I'm going to gift you this for free. I've got a whole PDF version for you. And so we're going to connect you with that. There's a link that Amanda will provide. And then
yeah.
go through this. It's a very short read. I made it for my ability to read books because this took me 3 hours to read. And I'm a slow reader. And I've had people read this book from man, so being in Russell's community, like I had Russell read it, I had several other people read it, and after they read it, Ray Higdon, he read this, and then it changed how he thought about transformation, and
Yeah,
it's a game changer. So it teaches you all the concepts and how to do this, and then we'll be launching our next book at the going in case studies, and it'll
amazing.
be at the probably at the end of the summer. We'll have a whole one just inundated in depth on the process itself.
Amazing. All right. Well, for everyone listening, to get your free copy that Tyler has so graciously given to you all, make sure you check out the show notes. The link will be in there. Um, check it out, click on it, get the book. I can't wait to get my copy. And also email us info@fitchix.ca. And also, if you want to connect with Tyler and connect with his team and learn more about his certification and what he offers, check out in the show notes, all of his details are there. So check them out. Tyler, thank you so much.
Sweet.
This is
Yeah,
so
thanks, guys.
cool.
Look forward to getting to help one of you or a few of you
Oh my
move
gosh, it's going to be
deep
so fun.
transformation.
That's going to be like amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be epic.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening to Fitchix Chat, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.